Hi y'all, I'm Chase. This is my 2021 Harley-Davidson Pan America Special, affectionately known as Wichita. And today is a public service announcement concerning battery tenders. I know, sexy. Let's just start with when I bought my bike last year, my Pan Am, had a bad battery right off the bat. That's because it sat in a warehouse for almost a year without being started or tendered or any of that stuff. So, yeah. Battery was bad. Had to have it taken back. And they put a new battery in it at Faro East. Great people, awesome. Really took care of me. So when I got home, being that I didn't want that to happen again, I plugged it into my tender, which is a 750 milliamp battery tender brand battery tender. And plugged it in. It was blinking green, which means it's over 80% charged, and it's charging. Come back an hour later, and it's green, solid green, which means full charge. Great. Come back out the next day. I planned on doing something out here in the garage. Happened to glance over, red, solid red. That means it's below a certain charge percentage, below 80%, and below whatever the blinking green light would be. It means it's bad. Well, crap, that sucks. Something's wrong. Figure it's got to be something. So I think, okay, I go through all this stuff in my head, and the only thing I can think of is the pigtail. Battery's new. So I hook the clamps up to the pigtail on my battery tender and put the positive clamp on the positive side on the Pan Am here, which is easy to get to. The negative side, you're not getting to that. So I find a nice clean bolt that holds on the crash cage, crash guard, engine guard, whatever you'd like to call it. And that's a ground. Hook it to that. Guess what? Charges just fine. Now I'm convinced. I get a blinking green light, solid green, never goes red. Yeah, convinced. So call it Faro. Talk to the guy, the tech that deals with the Rev Max motors, the Pan Ams, the Sportsters, all that. And he says, well, hell, you know what? Maybe, I know you've already had it in here once or twice. Let's see if we can diagnose it over the phone. So I yank the seat off, start looking underneath the tank, check all the fuses, check for wires, check the bolts on the battery terminals. Everything's tight. Nothing is frayed. Nothing is kinked or broken or any of that stuff. So, well, hell, we can't get it in for at least a few days. We're not going to be able to send a truck out. I don't know if I want you riding it in here because it could stall on the freeway and then we got to come and get you, and it would just be a pain in the ass. Then he says, are you sure it's not your tender that's bad? Well, I'm fairly certain, mostly because that my tender had worked literally a few days before this on my Road King, which has a cold cranking amp battery that's quite a bit more. In fact, I think it's double the cold cranking amps. He says, yeah, you're probably right. Suddenly, he says, hey, wait a minute. I just read something. I don't know if it was a technical service bulletin or something. I don't know. But he says that it is a requirement, not recommended, not suggested, required, as in needs, as in has to, that the from HD, from Harley-Davidson, that the Pan Am get a 4 amp tender charger, whatever you want to call it. Well, hell, I mean, if it'll work. Man, it sucks. I'm kind of going to be out another 100, 120, I don't know how much money, but at least another $100. And he goes, no. Go down to Harbor Freight and get the battery tender they have there. I use it myself. It works great. It's like 40 or 45 bucks. You know? If I'm only out 40 or 45 bucks, screw it, fine, yeah, why not? I mean, 40 or 45 bucks. If it works, great. If it doesn't, I'm only out 40 or 45 bucks. And it's still cheaper than 120. Even if I have to spend 120, I'm only be out 160. No loss. So, I do that. I get back, I plug it into the tender. I never have another problem. And the difference is you also get an exact voltage reading Mine usually reads between 13.6 and 13.9 when it's on the tender. Yeah, haven't had any problems with it. Works great. You get an actual reading instead of some, I don't know, guess lights. Let's just call them guess lights. And it's been great. So let's take a look at my old tender and the new tender, and I'll show you what the new tender looks like. Plugged in, running. It works on AGM, acid, and gel batteries. It doesn't work on lithium. So if you have a lithium battery or lithium ion or any of those batteries, it's not going to work on those. You'll have to get something different for that. But I think Harley recommends against those batteries, so I don't know if it'll mess your warranty up. But I know if you go with the AGM, Harley won't on your warranty. So let's take a look at those real quick. All right, this is my old tender, 750 milliamp battery charger, maintainer, tender, whatever you want to call it. But it is a battery tender brand. It still works. I used it on my truck. I think I said that in the video, but I used it on my truck over the winter because I didn't need it to go anywhere. So every once in a while, you know, it might sit for a couple of weeks, and man, it was really cold. It would kill the battery a little bit because I have a mouse blocker in my truck. Yeah, but yeah, it worked just fine on every bike until I got the my Pan Am. Now the new one. All right, this is the new tender. This is a 4 amp. This is, I guess, the Viking brand. Like I said, I didn't even know the brand. I have no affiliation with them, but it works very, very well. I've had no problems with my battery, keeping it charged or anything like that. It works on AGM, gel, deep cycle, standard, lead acid, whatever you want. You can change the modes on it. It works great, honestly. I have had no problems whatsoever. I'll show you what I mean by it. Also, instead of having some blinking light like this has an actual readout. So that's great. I'll show you real quick over on the bike. So that's pretty much it. You can change the mode. It's an AGM battery that's in there, if you can see that. 12 volt AGM. Let's turn off this real quick and see if I can. Yeah, there we go. 12 volt AGM. So 13.8. Usually, I just seen it was at 13.9, but I think usually 13.6 to 13.9 volts is where it's keeping it at. So that's where you kind of want to stay, I guess. You can tell this thing is sat on my floor plenty of time. It's dusty, dirty, and I've had it since end of June, beginning of July of last year. I've never had a problem with it. Now, before I go, there was another couple little service announcements or something to think about. One, if you are on the freeway and you're doing like 70, 75 miles an hour, and you notice, at least on my bike, I noticed that it's not charging at least 14 volts on the little widget. Normally mine runs 14.1 to 14.2. If it's not there and it's like 13.8, 13.9, I've got a loose battery on the battery terminals. I got a loose terminal, I got a loose bolt. Something down there in the battery area is loose. It's one of the bolts to the terminals. Every single time I found that happening, I've got a slightly, I mean, we're just talking just a hair loose. The hairest of hairs, the more vulgar of us know which kind of hair I'm talking about. But yeah, check your battery terminals regularly. Don't crank them down. I mean, they're made out of lead. Not a good idea. Just one of those things that seems to work itself loose on my bike. I don't know why, but I check them on a regular. Also, every single year, change your key fob battery. No, seriously, every single year on the Pan Ams. It is a smaller battery. It's not the same 2032 that it used to be. It's some new little weird, just kept it the same. But it doesn't last as long. If you have a bad key fob, your bike will act up. So just change it out once a year, every year, like clockwork. The batteries don't seem to last long. They are a little smaller battery. I think that's it. Yeah. So, yeah, 4 amp tender. I hope this helps somebody, really. I see a lot of guys have problems on the forums, and online, and I wonder if that is part of their problem. You know, a lot of guys don't get to ride every single day or week or month. Wow. I got to ride every single month since I bought this bike except January because it was too much snow and ice on the ground. I mean, I'm crazy, but I'm not that crazy. Yeah. So I wonder if that's part of the problem. A lot of electrical problems on the Pan Am are battery related, it seems. Yeah. Like, comment, subscribe, click that ding link to be notified of any new videos I'm coming out with. Thank you for watching, lads and lasses. Stay stubborn. Get out there and ride. Like I said, man, I got to ride every single month except January this year. Pretty happy with that. Bye, y'all.